Hello everyone. We are live right now. 1 second. Sorry, I need to check something. Disable that. I think I need to reconnect the Twitch for whatever reason to Discord. I just want to make sure it's like showing like that. While we're at it, let me see if the internet's running slow. I think what we'll do this time is not use the laptop as a live chat reader, and more so use OBS. So connected and share mode, enable. There we go. Reconnected. Here we go. Okay, let's see. So check the sound. There might be a little bit of overlap, but I just want to go into the Twitch real quick and see what the sound is sounding like. It's not that I do not want to hear the sound of my own voice, let me tell you. Episode 4, the Cosmic Tournament. Okay, start from beginning. Yes, that's where we're at. So hopefully this is just a one-off stream. Episode 4, the Cosmic Tournament. Okay, start from beginning. Yes, that's where we're at. So yeah. Okay. So, the courtroom bombing incident, a terrible attack launched by the will of a madman. Okay, so, the court. That incident perfectly symbolized the state of the legal world in this dark age of the law. Mr. Wright brought it to a resolution of sorts. Ted Tonet was discovered to be the one responsible for the bombing. If only it were that simple. Somehow I can't help but think that there's a darker influence at work. One that's lurking in the shadows, waiting. That's why I want to review the trial that was taking place when the bombing occurred. After all, I've got more than a few personal stakes in it. Okay, let's see. Okay, so bad choice on my part to start so quickly, but my goal here is to kind of just do one stream, maybe 2 to 3 hours, depending on how long this takes, and hopefully get through this entire episode. And this will be the last Dual Destiny stream for a while, but we'll see how this goes. This might need more than one episode. That's weird. Why does it sound so...
Check complete. Everything's A-okay. We're ready here whenever you are.
Why is it running so slow, I wonder? I don't think I hit anything to slow it down. It must just be lagging. Yeah, it was just lagging for everything. Now it's at 100%. December 16th, 9:12 a.m. District Court. Defendant lobby number 5. Time for another trial to begin. But this one is different. I'm sorry to bother you, but are you alright, Apollo? Was I making a scary face just now? Oh, hi, Juniper. Yes, I'm fine. I was just doing my Cords of Steel exercises. Now I'm all ready to go. Yes, knowing you, I'm sure you will be just fine. Oh, I brought you a present from my garden. So, Juniper was the defendant in the first episode in the pilot, and she was also the defendant in the very last episode we did with at the academy. So that was in the past. This is now. The pilot happens sometime after this episode, so just kind of get our bearings. Oh, I brought you a present from my garden. Is this a lotus root? That's right. My grandma says lotus root is good for your eyes. She even says that if you look through the holes, it can help you see into the future. It's good for luck. Maybe later you can cook it and... Thanks for this. I'm gonna have some right now. Oh my. Kinda tough though, yeah. You can't eat it raw, but thank you for the enthusiastic try. Oops, if she didn't think me weird before, she will now. I've gotta calm down. Apollo, I'm sorry I'm late. Hi, Athena. Junie, I didn't know you were coming today. Did you come to cheer Apollo on? Oh, I get it. You sly little thing, you. Athena, stop. Quit kidding around, Athena. The trial's about to start any second. Is everything all set? Oh, Apollo, Apollo. When will you ever figure it out? Figure out what? Oh, that was the longest sigh I've ever heard. This is it. It's all over for me. They're gonna find me guilty. This is our client, one Mr. Solomon Sol Starbuck. He's a very famous astronaut who happens to be an acquaintance of mine. You wouldn't know it right now, but he's usually a very upbeat and driven person. The scene of the crime this time happened at the Cosmos Space Center. Back in high school, my best friend and I went there almost a little too much. That's where we met Mr. Starbuck. We'd ask about space travel, and he'd launch into story after story with so much passion. Back in those days, the man was 100% my hero. Are you sure you're okay with being my lawyer, Apollo? Of course I'm sure. I know you, Mr. Starbuck. I know you're not the type to commit murder. Thanks, but... They're supposed to be in space right about now. He's so depressed, it almost seems like an act. The launch getting called off must have been a huge shock. I'll probably never get the chance to go into space again. Don't say that. Don't stop believing. Besides, you just have to go into space again. Yeah, I don't think I could face Clay in the afterlife if I just rotted away in a cell. Clay Terran, I can't believe he was murdered. I mean, he's such a promising astronaut under your command. Yeah, he was a good guy. Always there to pick me up when I was down. No one loved him as much as him. No one loved life as much as him, that's for sure. He was always so full of energy, telling me, "You're fine, Mr. Starbuck." Sounds like someone else we know. who says that. How could something like this happen to a guy like him, huh? I've never seen Mr. Starbuck so down. Clay's gone, I'm going to prison. I wish I could burn up like a shooting star right now. Mr. Starbuck! You'll be fine. What is it? What's with the yelling? I'll get to the bottom of this today, you'll see. And in exchange, I want you to go back into space for you and Clay. Promise? Does that mean you have lots of evidence to prove my innocence? Oh, well, about that. We didn't get to investigate the area as much as I'd have liked, thanks to the police. I'm done for. I'm a goner. Everybody thinks I did it. Thought I was gonna soar like a comet, but I'm just gonna crash like a meteorite. No, don't say that, Mr. Starbuck. Don't count yourself out yet. I know it's hard to lose a teammate, but you've got to keep going. And what about you, Apollo? What about me? I was just thinking, wasn't Clay your best friend? We need to focus on the trial right now. Y'all ready to go? Apollo. The trial's about to begin. If the defense would please proceed into the courtroom. Okay, here we go. This is it. There's one trial I can't afford to lose. For Clay's sake and our clients, I will find Clay's killer. December 16th, 9:55 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 4. Day 1. Court is now in session. All rise. Court is now in session for the trial of Solomon Starbuck. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Excuse me, Mr. Justice. Yes, Your Honor? What happened to your eye? I'm fine. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Are you sure? I don't... I'm fine, Your Honor. The defense is ready. I'm sorry, Your Honor. He's been like this since yesterday. He keeps insisting it's just a sty. I suppose it's something he doesn't want to discuss. A sty. I'm pretty sure it's like a short-lasted, like, thingy, maybe. Oh, for like style, maybe? I don't know. Maybe he's entering a touchy age. Very well, and the prosecution? The prosecution appears to be done as well. Silence. Not yet. I'm not quite ready yet. Oh, there's the bomb case we saw in the pilot, the tutorial. The prosecution is now ready. Well, it didn't take him long this time. What's up with Blackwell? Darling, I shall give the opening statement. Silence. Silence. I'll do it. You will? What an unexpected surprise! This time, I can't leave it to anyone else. I see. Something is off with the two of you today. You both seem different somehow.
Very well. Prosecutor Blackwell, your opening statement, if you would.
It was just yesterday. The crimes in question occurred at the Cosmos Space Center.
Ah, that famous federal research facility of all things related to astrology, right?
Astronomy. It's astronomy. Anyway, rocket was set to launch from there. But at 9:28 a.m., before they could even move the rocket to the launch site, two explosive devices were detonated and the launch was cancelled.
My word, 2 bombs? How dreadful.
The defendant in today's trial is charged with both the bombing and with murder. One Mr. Solomon Starbuck. For whatever inane reason, he detonated a bomb on the rocket he himself would be in.
Solomon Starbuck? I recognize that name. Isn't he that famous astronaut?
Correct, Your Boldness. Mr. Starbuck was the pilot of the HAT-1 rocket 7 years ago. As you may recall, despite some interstellar trouble, his mission was a success. Some say it was a miracle he returned alive. I suppose you could say he's a living legend.
Oh, I remember now. He's become something of an international celebrity, right? They even turned that incident into a movie and everything. We've got a real space pioneer in court today.
But even heroes tumble from their lofty heights. Returning to the subject at hand.
Ah, yes. The victim was one Mr. Clay Terran, a subordinate of the defendant.
Indeed. A loyal disciple brutally stabbed to death by his mentor.
Stabbed to death, you say? You mean his death wasn't a result of the bombing?
Correct. Despite his lofty dreams, the victim was seen as an interloper by the defendant, and so he was not sent into space, but to the universe which we mortals cannot see. Clay.
I think I've heard enough. The case seems pretty clear-cut at this point. But there's one thing I'm curious about. That middle box next to the witness stand. What purpose does it serve exactly?
Since you asked so nicely, it's your coffin. It's your coffin.
What the? No! Mercy on me!
I jest. It's evidence. Due to its immense size, we've little choice but to lay it where it rests now. We shall get to the contents of the box in due time.
I feel like I just lost 50 years off of my life.
Does he even have 50 years left? Inner monologue, Athena. Inner monologue. Enough jabbering. Bobby Fulbright's the name, and justice we trust.
Ah, Detective Wright. Very well then, please explain the incident to the court, if you would.
On it. First, take a look at this pamphlet from the Cosmos Space Center. In it, you'll find a diagram outlining the overall layout of the Space Center. Ah, here we are. For a more detailed look at what's on the left side of this building, take a look at this cross-section that we the police have created. See the launch pad in the main building?
The launch pad is the square building, and the rounded structure is the main building, right?
You got it. The incidents took place in Launchpad 1 and in the main building's lounge. I'll be using this diagram during my testimony. It'll make it easier to understand. Space Center diagram out of the court record. Hello, Tarek. I just alt-tab to see the chat now, so I just saw your message. Let me see if I can see a timestamp. I cannot, unfortunately, but hi, Tarek. This is gonna be the last Ace Attorney episode for a while now, probably. Yeah, it was dropping frames, the stream, so it was lagging. That was going on earlier. this is probably going to be the last Dual Destiny stream in a while. Hopefully, we can do this entire episode in this one sitting, because it's a rather short one, but we'll see. Might require more than one episode. Witness testing details of the case. Just before the rocket was set to launch, 2 bombs went off. Boom, boom! On the second floor of the Space Center's main building, one on the second floor of the Space Center's main building, and one in Launch Pad 1. Thankfully, only the 2 astronauts were in Launch Pad 1 at the time. The 2 of them managed to make it back as far as the boarding lounge. But after the escape, one of these 2 was found stabbed to death. Okay.
A murder on top of a bombing? What the? The detective was already dead by the time you arrived at the lounge, correct?
Yep. Thinking he'd sabotage the bombing, the defendant attacked and killed the victim.
Just look at this tragic photo.
Kinda cute, not gonna lie.
Oh my, is that a knife in the victim's chest?
But maybe that's a little ill taste because the guy's dead. Yes, Your Honor, it's the knife that cruelly ended this young man's dreams. We couldn't get any prints off it, though, because the defendant was in his spacesuit. Utility knife out of the record.
Anyway, Detective Wright, why are the victim's helmet and right glove absent in this photograph?
We had to remove them to identify him, Your Honor. I personally removed his glove during the investigation. We had to get his fingerprints to confirm his identity, after all.
Yes, it would be very difficult to identify without a face or fingerprints. There's just one more thing I'd like to inquire about. What is this round thing next to the victim in this photo?
Something so important to the victim he took it with him as he escaped the launch pad. A capsule that apparently contains asteroid samples. Well, obviously valuable for research purposes, has no relation to this case.
I see.
So, we know that the bomb in the main building was on the second floor. But where is the bomb that was in Launch Pad 1 located? That one was on the rocket itself. It was situated around the central part of the rocket. Apparently, the area around the launch pad's elevator is a sea of flames. I would like to submit this diagram and report into the record. Bombing report out of the record. The trials just started and we're already in a bind. You get used to it. Besides, that's what cross-examination is for, right? What the 2 astronauts were doing during the bombing, that'll be the key. We're all edge mode at the Apollo. No, that capsule came from Area 51. True. Confirmed from Area 51. Hello, Wackfrost. I'm not sure if I've seen you around in stream, at least for a while, if I have already. But let me know if it's the first time. We're doing the Cosmic Turnabout right now. Cross-connection details of the case. So let's do our usual saving. Oh geez. Yeah, okay. One on the second floor of the Space Center's main building and one in Launch Pad 1. Hold it! First time? Nice. If you wanna, if there's a particular Ace Attorney game that either comes before this or whatever that you like in particular, I have all my Ace Attorney streams uploaded to my YouTube channel as recordings of the live streams. We've gone through Phoenix Wright 1, or the entire original trilogy, Apollo Justice, the 2 Edgeworth games, Apollo Justice, and now we're on this game. So yeah, it's a bit of a slow grind though, because I'm in college, so it's a bit harder. Let me get this straight. Mr. Starbuck rigged a rocket he was going to board with explosives. Huh? What are you talking about? If the defendant really did plant the bomb on his own rocket, he'd get caught in the explosion as well.
Oh, I thought of that.
Literally. He actually just goes full Nick Fury mode. I always wondered, like, it's kind of cool because we only find out later on why he did that, why he does it. I remember getting confused, so I think I looked it up or something as to why he did it, but yeah, it becomes clear. But yeah, this is where Apollo's full edge mode, like, for sure. Fine. A simpleton for a simpleton. Fulbright, the motive. Understood. The defendant actually had astrophobia. Astrophobia? What's that? The fear of space, naturally. Just the thought of space can cause the afflicted to freeze up. And so in his terror, the defendant found a way to stop the launch at the last minute. That's absurd. Unfortunately for you, we have evidence. Take a look at these. What are they? These anti-anxiety tablets were found among the defendant's possessions. Apparently he was taking them in secret to quell his fears. There were a multitude of problems with the rocket Mr. Starbuck rode 7 years ago. Rumor has it threatened to crash a number of times as well. That was, of course, very traumatic for Mr. Starbuck. Objection! That doesn't mean he'd go as far to blow up his own ship. Silence. The defendant couldn't bear to mar his good name now, could he? Yeah, that's a good meme. I like your memes, actually. Those are good and very creative. I wouldn't have thought of any of those angles. Speaking of avant-garde, yeah, it could have been his cat, or it could have been on-guard himself, because we know that on-guard's able to scratch up his face pretty well himself. No, not after the media had branded him Soul Starbuck, space pioneer extraordinaire. Given these conditions, the defendant could hardly run away like some base mutt. What, so that's why you think he resorted to the bombing? Naturally. He constructed this act of sabotage in an attempt to blow up the space center, which would effectively abort the launch, but spare his reputation. Now I'm sure you understand why we have to bring justice down on this atrocious criminal. Yeah, or Taka, exactly. My favorite part, or one of my favorite parts of this game, or like with Taka and like Blackwell and stuff, in particular in this case with the judge, is when Taka rests on the judge's head and he's like, "Help me, someone help me," and then sometimes he'll just like be vibing with Taka. It's so adorable and funny. It's a good meme for sure. The two of them managed to make it back as far as the boarding lounge. Hold it. So while it would appear that the pair barely escaped with their lives, in actuality, one of them had already been murdered inside the rocket. That's the angle the prosecution wants to push, correct? You got it! In fact, that's what I've been trying to say this whole time. If the victim had been alive, he would have for sure tried to stop the bombing. Is there any chance Sir Terran could have been killed before he boarded the rocket? They were both alive and well at boarding time and embarked under their own power. Their hearts full of hopes and dreams of space. And then both of their hopes and dreams were dashed. If I may continue my explanation, after the evacuation order was given, the defendant made his escape carrying the victim to make it look like a rescue. What's the point of doing that if the victim already had a blade in their chest, in his chest? Like, that'd be major sus moment. Thankfully, only the two astronauts were in Launchpad 1 at the time. Hold it! Are you sure it was only the two of them? It was just before the spaceship was set to launch, so of course it was only those two. Well, there could have been somebody else inside that rocket. Silence. The notion of a third party in Launchpad 1 is utterly absurd. Just to enter the area from the lounge, one must pass through a door guarded by a fingerprint recognition device. And allow me to state up front that there are precious few with the clearance to do so.
A fingerprint recognition device? It's not as futuristic and complex as a space center.
Actually, it's not as amazing as you think, Your Honor. Take a look at this photo. This is the door in the lounge with the fingerprint lock. Only personnel whose fingerprints are registered can pass through.
I see. That is very different from what I had in mind. And is there a record of the number of people that passed through that door yesterday?
Yes, there were only 3. The defendant, the victim, and the director of the Space Center, Yuri Cosmos. Then doesn't that mean it's possible that the director is the one who did it? Not a chance. He was in the main building when the bombs exploded at 9:28, doing his job directing the launch. Besides having an alibi, he has no motive for committing these senseless acts. He has a point. I guess the director can't be considered a suspect then. Thank you, Panda, for subbing, or following, and actually subscribing with Prime. Thank you. I'm sorry about the display. For whatever reason, it doesn't show the follow and stuff on my, like, it shows on my, like, feedback from the stream, but I don't see, it doesn't show, like, I don't think it shows on the screen, but maybe it does. Maybe I just can't see it. Subscriber bitch. Oh yeah, by the way, Whackfrost, have you played all these games before, or like, you're just a big fan kind of thing? He has a point. I guess the director can't be considered a suspect then. Launchpad 1 door lock added. Launchpad 1 door lock added the record. But after the escape, one of the two was found stabbed to death. Hold it. Have you seen any of these games, Panda, before? Like, heard of them? Probably heard of them, I wouldn't be surprised. And who was the first to find the victim? Actually, there were 2 of them. The Space Center director, Yuri Cosmos, and Detective Candace Arm. Who is a victim in the first episode.
What, it was a detective?
Yep, Detective Arm specializes in bombings, you see. She and the director were ordering the evacuation following the explosions. They were also worried about the astronauts, so they hurried over to the boarding lounge. That's when they discovered the victim was along with the defendant. 2 witnesses, huh? And one of them was a detective. I doubt either one would have anything to say that would help me. Sorry about that, I was just responding to an important text. I doubt either one would have anything to say that would help me. It's like he's trying to give us as little information as possible. Maybe Prosecutor Blackwell's got his tongue. Well, don't let that hold you back. Keep pressing until we get what we need. Just before the rocket was set to launch, 2 bombs went off. Boom, boom! Hold it! How powerful were the explosions? Well, the one in the main building wasn't strong enough to bring the place down. But the room it went off in was burned black. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Due in large part, of course, to me stepping up to lead the evacuation. Wait, what were you doing there in the first place, Detective Fulbright? I'm Bobby Fulbright, hero of justice. I'll be there wherever and whenever people need my help. I'd go to the other side of the world or even the edge of the universe. I'm not sure he knows how far that actually is. But I guess I'll leave that one alone. Admirable decision, Justice Dono. Huh? What do you decide? Anyway, could you describe what it was like at the Space Center at that time? The bomb cut the power to the central bank of elevators in the 3rd floor lounge. It was pitch black in there, I tell you. However, The security cameras and whatnot were running on emergency backup. And how did the evacuation go? I immediately and heroically whisked people down to the Space Center's basement shelter.
The basement shelter?
Yes, there's an emergency shelter beneath the Space Center. An emergency shelter, huh? Oh, here it is. It's at the bottom of the diagram. The Space Center's pretty impressive to have its own shelter. Evacuation report out of the court record. Power outage and evacuation seem unrelated to the murder at this point. I guess I'll leave that aside for now. So there were 2 explosions in total, correct? Yep, that's right.
I think that pretty much covers the details of the case. Only the victim and the defendant were on the launch pad where the 4 boys killed. If this is the truth, then only Mr. Starbuck could have carried out this crime.
What little I could get out of him only hurt my case. Justice don't know. Sorry. Foolish is the warrior who rushes headlong into battle. Preparation is an essential element of battle, so I advise you to take a gander at this. What is it? Footage from a security camera, as the 2 astronauts emerged from the bowels of the launch pad 1 corridor. The boarding lounge security camera captured their desperate escape. Now I would direct your attention to what the defendant is shouldering, which you can see is none other than the lifeless body of the victim. What?
Order! Order, I say!
Make sexer faces?
This lines up exactly with what the prosecution has been asserting.
I should have known Blackwell would have something like this ready. Security camera video added to the court record. Apollo. How exactly did they determine that Clay was already gone in that footage? I see what you mean. Whether Clay was still alive at that point is pretty crucial. Your Honor, please take another look at the footage. Isn't it possible that Mr. Tarrant was still alive here and that Mr. Starbuck was helping him?
Why, I believe you're right. One man carrying the others to safety. Oh, what a beautiful expression of friendship.
Silence. Perhaps that's what it looks like to a one-eyed hothead and a dotard. But it only makes sense the victim's dead if it's the victim's dead body. 100% worth, yeah. Bodies, as they say. What do you mean? Fulbright explained it to Justice Dodo. You got it. Ready, kid? If the murder had occurred in the lounge, someone could have spotted it. Anyone can enter the lounge after all. But doing it while they were alone in the spaceship, that's a horse of a different color. But then why not just leave the body to burn burn in the fire of the explosion and say, oh, I couldn't save him? Why do the whole, oh, I was trying to save him so I carried it there? Because then you're bringing a dead body at that point. Objection! You can't deny that there's a possibility the murder could have happened in the lounge. All that video shows is a man helping his fellow astronaut out. Silence. Your assertion is based on emotion. It's based on your belief that Mr. Starbuck would surely help his own disciple. But you have no logical explanation as to why the victim could be still alive. Or could still be alive.
Unfortunately, Mr. Johnson, the prosecution is right. The argument is lacking in sound logic.
Oh, could be still be alive. Okay, so that's how I read it, so that's just a typo. Got it. But it sounded perfectly logical to me.
Well, Mr. Justice, if you have no further objections, I believe it's time to bring this cross-examination to a close.
Objections? Well, Hold it! Your Honor, the defense requests a little time to think and regroup.
Given the facts, I'm not sure I'd see the need.
What is it, Athena? It's just... There's something that's been bothering me. If it isn't the defense stalling for time, as always. Very well, I'm feeling generous. You may have a small measure of time. Yes! You have... 5 seconds. 5 seconds? After that, I declare this cross-examination to be closed and a verdict to be rendered. Your boldness, raise your gavel high. It's time for a countdown.
Oh!
Ready? We don't have time. Spit it out, Athena.
Only 3 more seconds!
Look, I don't think the prosecution's explanation is very complete. Meaning there's something missing. Like they conveniently left it out unexplained. Something they didn't explain. Something they didn't explain. Oh, you're right. I think I know what you're talking about.
Your 5 seconds are up, Mr. Justice. Is there anything about the prosecution's argument that you'd like to rebut?
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, there is. There's something the prosecution has yet to make clear to this court.
Well, if you put it that way, what is that the prosecution has failed to explain?
Hi, Gray. Oh, I'm glad you're playing Below Zero. That's awesome. Let me know how it goes over Discord, or on Discord when you're or after stream. Imagine having Prime. Yeah, imagine, bruh. Imagine that, like that. 1 second, real quick. Okay.
What is the part that the prosecution has failed to explain?
I think both are sus. But I would probably say the motive for murder. The motive for murder. The prosecution hasn't explained the defendant's motive yet, have they?
But didn't they just explain that Mr. Ted was a threat to the success of the bombing, so he had to be disposed of?
Oh, I guess they did say that. But it doesn't really make sense that way either. But yes, the body being moved is also really sus. But I think what the prosecution's just going to say is, oh, for the image, which they already did. So I think you could argue either way, but you know, whatever. No, wait, time out, Your Honor.
Time out, Mr. Justice. This is hardly a sporting event.
That didn't score me any points. Time to put my game face on.
What is it that the prosecution has failed to explain?
Why the body was moved. They have failed to explain why Mr. Starbuck would bother bringing the body back at all. If the defendant wanted to kill the victim, why didn't he just leave his body in the rocket? Why go through the trouble of bringing him all the way back to the boarding lounge?
Oh, that's true. I don't think we've heard the prosecution's thoughts on that yet.
That's because they have none, Your Honor. After all, how does one explain something so illogical? The prosecution is claiming that the defendant moved the victim's dead body. What if the entire premise of that argument is wrong?
Then let's hear a theory, Mr. Justice.
The defense proposed that the defendant didn't kill the victim. He was helping him. Fulbright, explain it for our sad friend here before I nod off to his monotone monologue. Inform him exactly why Spaceboy moved the victim. Huh? They've gotta be joking. It's simple. Mr. Starbuck did what he did to direct suspicion away from himself. He wanted to create the impression he heroically risked his life to save his partner. But that goes against their own argument, because their own argument is that the reason he's suspicious is because they were the only people there. So the fact that he carried, the body out wouldn't have helped him, really. But that's why he made sure to make it to the security camera so there'd be a record. At the very least, he appears to have achieved success with you and the old man.
One man carrying the others to safety. What a beautiful expression of friendship.
The average person wearing a spacesuit weighs easily over 200 pounds. Saving the life of a partner who weighs as much while trying to escape deadly flames.
What a dramatic sob story fit for the silver screen. Indeed, I was completely taken in by the humanity of the story. You see, yet the true ending is that all traces of this hammy act were meant to be blown up. I just don't get it, because it would have made more sense to let him die in the flames, thus destroying the evidence of the killing, and you could say, oh, well, I couldn't save him, you know? You still get rid of the guy, and you probably aren't going to look very suspicious. Or maybe a little bit, but not as much. Yes, and now we arrive at the thrilling conclusion. The third explosion. Objection! What are you talking about? There was no third explosion. Silence. Indeed, you are correct. But that is thanks to Detective Arm. It was she who identified and secured the bomb. However, it doesn't change the fact that the third bomb was discovered in the lounge.
So then you mean the third bomb and not the third explosion?
The steel coffin beside the witness stand, that would be a bomb transport case. We use that to transport the deactivated bomb here. It was found in the lounge. A bomb in the form of a most distasteful toy.
What? Oh, and then that appears in the first episode again.
One on the second floor of the main building and on the launch pad, and one in the lounge. The defendant planned to set off 3 firework displays. Fortunately, the third was discovered before it could be detonated, for it had not. Or for had it not.
2 out of 3 fragments of the sea truck. Nice, Gray. So it's like an upgrade or like a vehicle you can use to swim around, I'm guessing. I have not played Below Zero yet, so I wouldn't know the deets. Sorry about that, I was having a white chocolate Reese's cup. You guys ever had those? They're really good, actually, surprisingly. Or I guess not surprisingly, perhaps.
The victim's body and other vital evidence would surely have been immolated.
Objection!
No. Before you utter a word, know that the evidence supports me.
It's like he's reading my mind.
As it is still undergoing forensic investigation, I do not have the evidence on hand. However, know that a peculiar item was found in one of Mr. Starbuck's pockets. Specifically, a bomb detonation switch.
You found what? Sorry, Gray, I just saw your question. Yeah, that's what I was eating.
I suspect the defendant had no time to destroy such damning evidence. When the Space Under Director and Detective Arms stumbled across the murder,
couldn't he have just thrown it in the fire or something, or like dispose of it somewhere in the explosion?
So he thought to hide it in his pocket. Feeble brain that he is.
No, Mr. Starbuck would never do anything like that. Oh, he fell to the ground, okay.
Justice Stoner, open your eyes and see the truth.
This appears to be irrefutable evidence that the accused set off the explosions.
No, there has to be some kind of mistake. This can't be the truth.
Still can't accept it. You believe in your client, come what may. Then why don't you cross-examine the defendant himself?
This has got to be a trap. I mean, we're kind of out of leads anyway, really. It's like Blackwell's controlling the entire game. Yeah, it seems like he was waiting for me to bring up the body moving issue. Why'd he say that? Because he had just the right argument when I pointed it out. And to really rub it in, he had a decisive piece of evidence up his sleeve, too. He was trying to shake my faith in Mr. Starbuck and break me down. Then making you cross-examine Mr. Starbuck at this point was part of his plan too? Totally underhanded, but I wouldn't expect anything less from him. Now let us hear from the arch-villain, the fiendish murderer himself. Famed astronaut Solomon Starbuck. It says, Gray redeemed to highlight my message. Sean put so much effort into making these awesome voices for these characters for awesome content. Keep up the good work, Sean. Thank you, Gray. That's really sweet of you. I really appreciate that. Sometimes I think my voices overlap too much for some of these characters. Either I can't remember what I did originally, or I don't know exactly how to differentiate them from other characters. Principally, Apollo and Phoenix are probably the biggest examples, but I try, you know. Thanks, Gray. Love you.
What is your name and occupation, please?
Solomon Starbuck, astronaut. How did this happen?
Mr. Starbuck, you aren't looking very well. Will you be able to give testimony?
No.
Well, unfortunately, no is not an option. You are being accused of the Space Center bombing and the murder of Clay Terran. Please testify to these allegations.
Mind if I take this suit off? It's getting really heavy.
Silence.
It's not the weight of the suit that you feel, but of your sins. Prepare to carry that weight for the rest of your life. Banish me to the moon. I don't care anymore. Wow, that was super negative. Is he going to be alright up there? He'll be fine, I think. As long as he doesn't really totally give up and say he did it, that is. Witness testimony. I didn't kill him. All I did was support Clay over my shoulder and get us out of the rocket. Like always, I took the elevator down to the middle level and headed for the corridor. Clay had passed out by the time we got the order to evacuate. I didn't kill Clay. I was trying to save him.
So you're certain you didn't set off the bombs or murder the victim?
But I bet you think I'm lying, right?
I reserve all judgment until after I've heard your full testimony.
I'm sure you don't believe me. I bet you don't even believe I'm an astronaut. I don't think the judge doubts that. Who'd wear a suit like that except an astronaut?
I will say when I saw you in that movie, you appeared quite courageous. Though I suppose reality never quite lives up to fantasy.
Oof. I guess I'm just a big disappointment. I really don't care what happens to me anymore. What happens anymore? Oh no, he's completely given up. What a depressing fellow. If you were to join me in the clink, I imagine that annoying sigh of yours would rub off on the other inmates. Like how it rubbed off on Prosecutor Blackwell a second ago? Huh? That was Blackwell sighing? So Starbuck's testimony contains a glaring contradiction. That is weird. I thought it was Starbuck again, but that must explain why there's the question marks for the name. Mr. Starbuck's testimony contains a glaring contradiction. The question is, what does it mean? Even if Mr. Starbuck is my client, I can't be gun-shy now. It's time to find out the truth. Cross-examination. I didn't kill him. Save state. Like always, I took the elevator down to the middle level and headed for the corridor. Hold it! Is that the elevator inside the launch pad area? That's right. We always use it to get to and from the cockpit. That makes sense. So he was just using the route he always used. In spite of the fact that there had just been an explosion? Huh? I think Mr. Starbuck is hiding something. Something pretty big. Oh, wait, hold on. Like always, I took the elevator down to the middle level and headed for the corridor. But the explosion is, like, right on the elevator. Objection! Mr. Starbuck, I need your testimony to be as accurate as possible, okay? Was I not being accurate? No, because it's impossible for you to have taken the elevator down to the middle level.
What makes you say that, Mr. Justice?
Please recall where the bomb went off in Launchpad 1. Also recall that after the explosion, the middle level elevator was engulfed in flames.
Oh! You're right, which means...
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The Launchpad's elevator would have been unusable. In other words... Mr. Starbuck, your statement is decidedly inconsistent with the facts. What's at the helmet? Mission Command, do you read me? Come on, please. Objection! This is Mission Command. I order you to pay attention. Stop this nonsense and answer my questions, Mr. Starbuck. My helmet.
My eyes are oxygen concentration, body temperature declining, requesting medical assistance.
Bruh. Bruh. What?
Mrs. Starbuck, we are not in space right now. Please stop pretending you have lost consciousness and stand back up.
I apologize, Your Honor. I forgot I was still on Earth. I feel like we all just got a real glimpse of Solomon Starbuck, the astronaut. Yeah, he seemed more like an astronaut now than when he was doing all that sighing. Mr. Starbuck, could you please explain the inconsistency in your statement? About how you used the middle-level elevator? I was nervous and I said the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I actually, took a different route, I think. A different route? I hope you're able to deliver a straight story this time. I'll get it right this time. Maybe, probably. Probably.
It's understandable to be nervous, but let me remind you, accuracy is paramount in court.
What is testimony? My escape route. Let's see, my escape route, what I said before was a mistake. I remember now. I took a different route. Maybe, probably. With the capsule and clay in my arms, I made my way down from the upper level. Wait, how could you do that if you're, like, using both arms? So you're saying you escaped without using the elevator? That's right, there's a ladder that spans the upper and middle levels. I used that ladder to get to the middle level. Luckily, the fire hadn't reached the ladder, so we could make our escape that way. And the capsule you mentioned. I suppose you mean the thing next to Mr. Terran here? Was the capsule that important that you'd risk your life to take it with you? Hold on. Upper and middle levels, right? It almost goes without saying, but yeah, that capsule contains asteroid samples. Therefore, it's invaluable as research material. With a spacesuit on, clay weighed a ton, but securing the capsule is also important. I need you to answer to the best of your ability. Mr. Starbuck, please remember that your verdict is riding on your testimony. Maybe I am guilty after all. I wonder if you can see the stars in prison. That it's more comfortable than a spaceship. Right. Cross-examination. Cross-examination. My escape route. Let me save real quick, and I will take about a 5-minute break or so. Sorry, Dave, what happened? Oh, welcome back, Wright. Nothing. We're just we have a new testimony. It's with this guy. He's talking about how he went down the ladder and not the elevator. But yeah, I will be right back in about 5 probably ish minutes. I'm gonna fill my water bottle and just be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's go a bit further. Let's see. With the capsule and clay in my arms, I made my way down from the upper level. Hold it! The upper level of the launch pad area. The upper level of the launch pad area? That's right, but that's what I said, isn't it? Wait, let's see, is this visible on the camera? No, it's not. Okay. I'm talented and a peak lord. That's true, but mostly a peak lord. Thank you for the welcome back, Gray. But I prefer the term base lord personally. Thanks. That's right. That's what I said, isn't it? Granted, that route does exist. So to recap, you had clay over your right shoulder and the capsule in your left hand. Yeah, it's really important, so I couldn't let it get burned up. So even though clay was really heavy, I couldn't afford to carry him with both hands. I did the best I could with him over one shoulder and the capsule in my other hand. I don't think the meaning of what he just said has hit him yet. You know what you have to do with that statement. Justice, don't know. Yes, I know. Well, I've come this far, no turning back now. It's time to present some evidence. So Mr. Starbuck escaped the clay in the capsule, which means... It's just like in the footage. I can see why he couldn't run, though. He must have weighed over 200 pounds just by himself. Yeah, and he had to support Clay, who was another 200 pounds. Plus, he had to ensure the safety of that capsule. I don't think I could have even walked under those circumstances. Walking straight forward is probably about all I would have been able to manage. With the capsule and clay in my arms, I made my way down from the upper level. This is what was super sus, to me. I think this is what's sus, because if you're going on a ladder and you have someone over your shoulder and someone in your other hand, you know, you don't really have any arms being used. So, let's say... I would either say it's the diagram or the security video camera or whatever. Because, yeah, because like that. So I would suggest the Space Center diagram. Objection! There we go, yeah, because it's like the ladder. Mr. Starbuck, why don't you just tell the truth? The truth? Let's see, the Earth is blue? No. That's not right. I guess the Earth isn't blue? Yeah, that's it. The truth, Mr. Starbuck.
God, the oxygen consumption is super low in this area. Prepare the emergency oxygen tanks. Mr. Justice, the witness appears confused. Please help draw out the truth from him.
Mr. Starbuck, under these circumstances at the time, you couldn't possibly have reached the boarding lounge via the upper level route. Huh? Not as long as this was along the escape route. The ladder. Take that! To get down from the upper to the middle level where the launch pad 1 corridor is. Oh, sorry, Gray, I just saw your thing about the security vid. I was thinking that too. Mostly just because it showed that he was using 2 hands. And wouldn't have been able to go down the ladder, but, you know. You would have to go down the ladder, isn't that right, Mr. Starbuck? Of course, that was the only way we could escape. Objection! But how would that work? At the time you were supporting Mr. Terran over your shoulder, were you not? And remember, he was in full space gear as well, putting him at over 200 pounds. Well, it's easy on the moon. Gravity is only 1/6 of what it is on Earth. Objection! But the Space Center is located on Earth. Short of being on an octopus, Climbing a ladder with an adult male in space gear in one arm, while carrying the capsule in your other, is impossible, wouldn't you say? Oh, so Mr. Starbuck, how exactly did you climb down that ladder with your arms full? Mr. Starbuck, come clean and tell us the truth now.
Engineer, where's that engineer? Oxygen leak detected due to faulty maintenance. Evacuate immediately.
What the? He's flying the coop. Help, I'm caught on the ceiling. Help? Anyone? Bruh, what the?
Bailiff! Prepare the cherry pickle. We must launch our rescue mission at once.
Well, that's one way to take off while being questioned. I'd rather prove his innocence so he can go to space again someday for real.
Now then, Mr. Starbuck, do you think you could keep from your feet planted on the ground?
Yes, I apologize for losing control. Are you ready to tell us the truth?
Not that. Anything but that.
What is going on? This isn't the Mr. Starbuck I know.
It appears Spaceboy is prone to deception.
Witness. Yes?
I thought your story odd, but perhaps the inconsistencies can be explained as the result of a medical side effect.
Imagine being named after a coffee shop. True. Oh yeah, like Starbuck. Yeah, true. And also the pun for star being like that he's an astronaut as well. It's like space themed. As far as Solomon, I'm not sure. Like where the thing for that is. Probably like alliterative for like the S sounds.
Prosecutor Blackwell, please don't talk about that.
What are you talking about, Prosecutor Blackwell?
Didn't I already state that Spaceboy is, ironically, terrified of going into space? That's why he took some precautions just before the launch. For you see, traces of this anti-anxiety drug were found in his system.
Oh? I sense things are about to nosedive. Hold it, you got it all wrong. I told him during the investigation too. I don't know anything about any drugs. I never took any medication, I swear. It is found in his system, but he doesn't remember taking it? How could that be? Somebody else has slipped them to me. But I guess maybe that's why I don't remember, because of the side effects. Yeah, that's why I don't remember much about what really happened. What?!
Order! Orderly court!
We can't get any useful testimony about him if he doesn't remember anything. Well, this certainly explains why his testimony kept changing. Why didn't he just tell me he couldn't remember? I guess he didn't want anybody to find out he was terrified of going to space. Maybe I really did do it. But you can't really fault him for it, considering where he almost died out in space by getting stranded, and he barely miraculously got back. And there are a bunch of like failures of the ship's functions. I would say that's like pretty apt for an event that would trigger or cause some kind of PTSD. But you know, that's just me, maybe.
Which brings us to the answer of our original question.
But also, I feel like a lot of astronauts are probably afraid as well of space, but I'm not sure. You know, maybe it's a thing of conquering, or maybe it's just a passion, but you're still afraid. You know, maybe maybe even the moments of passion or intensity, you're still afraid, even though you're confident. Maybe.
How the witness climbed down the ladder with a dead body.
Wait, what was the thing? Right. It does? So what is it?
A dead man feels no pain and makes no complaints, Justice Dono.
Oh no.
So the body was simply dropped down from the top of the ladder.
But does the autopsy confirm that? Because the autopsy could say, yeah, Post-mortem, they suffered there's like a bruising that would suggest that there was a fall of so-and-so height.
Oh my! I see. A little fella could climb down with his free hand.
Just like in the Bridge of the Tournament episode, the finale of Trials and Tribulations with Elise Dunham. Objection! Drop the body down? Who would do such a disrespectful thing? Besides, dropping the body down would leave marks on the body itself. So you are capable of quick thinking. Yes, you are correct. Really? Oh, thanks. Thanks. Ah! Huh? What's this? It's the oxygen tank from the victim's spacesuit. It's ruptured, and I'm sure you can figure out why. You can't be implying it ruptured when the defendant dropped the victim's body. I am, for they fracture easily when struck. Objection! Even if that's true, the tank's explosion and shrapnel would leave its mark on the body. Yet according to the autopsy report, only the knife wound was found on the victim's body. You're clearly grasping at straws at this line of reasoning. Silence. A spacesuit isn't heavy for the sake of being heavy, Justice Dono. It includes the latest technological devices and is made of the fabric of tomorrow. This fabric is made to protect astronauts from the dangers of space, so falling a few Earth yards would hardly leave a mark on the wearer. I don't know about that, but like also, I don't think it was just a few yards. It looks like it was a decent ways up, so like, I'm not sure if you can make that argument per se. Objection! They'd have to call like a material witness or an expert, an expert witness, and to determine that in like real court, of course. But you know, 1 second, I'm just gonna look at something real quick. Okay. Wait, what? Weird. Okay. Sorry about that. Then shouldn't it be impossible to stab someone through it as well? It should, and yet through sheer coincidence, the knife slipped through a weak spot in the suit's structure and found its way to its target. What are the chances? You forget that our killer is an astronaut himself with knowledge of how these suits work. He's caught me there. And now my argument has been proven. Spaceboy killed the victim in the rocket and then dropped his body from the upper level. After climbing down, he shouldered the body and made sure the camera recorded them. There's no room for debate about these facts. It is clear that Solomon Starbuck is the only one who could have killed Clay Terran. Here, the report regarding the astronauts' oxygen tanks. Consider it my send-off gift. Feel free to use it as payment across the river Styx. Bruh. Oxygen tank data update out of the Korkin. There's still some weird stuff about this because of the fact, like, sorry. I was just talking to someone. I think it's kind of weird because in the security camera footage, it looks like the person's just hauling someone who's like passed out or like struggling to walk or whatever, not a corpse. Because if it's a corpse, I don't think it would look like someone who's like, oh, you know, like stumbling. It would be much harder to move, and I don't think you could haul a corpse like with one arm like that. Because especially when post-mortem, like rigor mortis kicks in. Yeah, I don't know. Oxygen tank data added to the record. Hey, this report is pretty detailed. Let's see. The display on the astronaut's left shoulder shows how much oxygen remains. I guess that means these glowing cyan digits represent the amount of oxygen remaining. I'm done for. I'm going to prison instead of space. Space boy. Yes? Take heart. The bejeweled night sky is still beautiful even when viewed through bars. You mean the stars as seen from prison? That's right. Your cell will be your spaceship. Picture the view from the iron bars. It's like being an astronaut in your own craft for all time. That's not a half-bad thought. Mr. Starbuck, Prosecutor Blackwell got him good. Spaceship prison cell, fly me, my guilt, and my despair to the deepest, darkest space. And then let's get sucked into a black hole together. Objection! Mr. Starbuck, you can't give up hope. Oh. Yes, Apollo? Sorry. Clay really looked up to you. He said you were an incredible man. He said you'd never give up your dreams and passion for space no matter the situation. He said that? So don't give up now and help me prove your innocence. For the sake of the man who respected you and believed in you. Clay Terran. For Clay. You're wasting your breath. What? It's all hype now. You got the sea truck, Gray? Bitus. Nice one. Apollo, thank you. I can see things clearly now. Mr. Starbuck. I'm fine now. Thanks for reminding me of my life's mission. Right. We'll both be fine. I'll prove you're innocent, you'll see. And after that, we'll get you back into space. You've ignited the booster rockets of my soul! I'm on fire! I am Solomon Starbuck, astronaut, a cosmic hero chosen by the universe itself. There's no time to be whimpering and crying. I can't let you and Clay down. Balderdash. The sun, the moon, all of space is calling me. Solomon Soul Starbuck. And Soul, if you guys will notice, is actually a Greek, pretty sure it's Greek, root meaning sun. Ready for launch. Begin the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bonus. Liftoff. What the? Okay, it's the driver.
Well, I feel like I've witnessed an actual rocket launch.
Apollo, you did it! You broke Prosecutor Blackwell's grip over Mr. Starbuck. I can't take the credit. It was all Mr. Starbuck. He pulled himself through.
If you simpletons are done massaging one of those egos, no matter how positive your mood, my advantage remains unshakable. I have but to wait for the final guilty verdict. Isn't that right, your baldness?
I can't let up now. I have to stop Blackwell. I have to see this through. Mr. Starbuck just made it back into space. Mr. Starbuck just has to make it back into space. Wait, sorry. Mr. Starbuck just has to make it back into space. Yeah, okay. I won't allow Clay's dream to remain unfulfilled. I've got to destroy Blackwell's argument somehow. Think, Justice, think. If the only people at Launchpad 1 were Clay and Mr. Starbuck, And if Clay was already dead by the time this footage was taken, then the only person who could have killed him is Mr. Starbuck. So the only way to counter Blackwell's argument is... if I can prove that Clay was still alive when they arrived at the boarding lounge, in which case I should be able to find some contradiction in the evidence itself. Now let's see. About this data that we just received. This supposedly proves that Mr. Starbuck dropped Clay's body in Launchpad 1. But if I'm going to prove that false, then there must be something I can use here.
Enough of this farce, Your Boldness. Let's have your verdict.
Objection! Prosecutor Blackwell, you seem to be in quite a hurry to rush the verdict. What about this oxygen tank data you submitted just now? It says Mr. Starbuck's tank had 80% remaining, while Mr. Terran's had 0. Do you stand by the accuracy of this report? Oh, yeah, good point. Of course. Then I guess it simply means that it's faulty, as evidence goes.
You will explain what you mean, Justice Dono.
It's simple. This evidence contradicts the facts of this case. Take a look here at the detailed description, you'll see what I mean.
I hope you have some evidence, Mr. Justice, because I don't see what's so contradictory.
Yes, Your Honor, right away. This is the evidence that the oxygen tank report stands in contradiction to. Well, it's the security footage because the dial or the oxygen percentage read 80%, not 50. Wow, Blackwell ruining the vibe. So true. It's kind of his thing, really, if you think about it. Let's see. Take that!
And how does this evidence present a contradiction?
The problem is this part here. Take that! Note the remaining oxygen in Mr. Starbuck's tank as he carries Mr. Terran.
It appears to say 50.
Yes, but according to the data, our client's tank had 80% remaining.
The oxygen in the tank increased?
I see Your Honor finds it strange as I do. As strange as I do. It's bad enough that there's a contradiction, but the increase in oxygen is beyond illogical.
Oh my, you're absolutely right. What is going on here? Silence.
I too find it odd that the oxygen remaining has increased. Oh, you gotta go to bed? Okay, sounds good. Love you, Gray. Night-night. Have a good sleep, okay? One second, sorry. I too find it odd that the oxygen remaining has increased. It would be as odd as if my rations were to increase. But what does that prove? It doesn't change the fact that it is the defendant carrying the victim's corpse. Objection! I'm going to bet you don't get more rations because you don't abide by the rules. Either way, the oxygen remaining shouldn't increase just as your rations don't increase. Therefore, this new information is critical. We can't overlook it. Silence. In that case, do you have an answer to this riddle of the mysteriously increasing oxygen? You'd better not disappoint or I'll declare the inconsistency as mere equipment malfunction.
Prosecutor Blackwell has a point. I suppose it could be a simple malfunction. Mr. Justice, if you cannot provide an adequate counter-argument to this point, I'm afraid I must bring this trial to an end. So, do you think you can explain why the remaining oxygen level increased?
Of course I can. The thing to do at a time like this is turn my thinking around. Mr. Starbuck has no memory of it, but he claims to have carried Clay. One sec. So this man with the 50 on his tank ought to be Mr. Starbuck. But if anything, the display on this oxygen tank should have shown an 80. This is a clear contradiction between the report and the security footage. So what I should be asking is not, why did the oxygen level increase, but what had to have happened to make it look like it increased? Am I making some kind of mistake in my base assumptions here?
Well, Mr. Justice, we're waiting.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm ready to answer. This is why the remaining oxygen appears to have increased. Well, it could be possible if the victim was carrying the defendant, huh? The victim was carrying the defendant. What if it was the other way around?
The other way around? Would you care to explain, Mr. Justice?
As you can see, Your Honor, both men had their helmets on in this footage. But it turns out, this is where our base assumptions went astray. We assumed that it was Mr. Starbuck helping Mr. Tarrant, but it was the other way around. It wasn't Mr. Starbuck helping Mr. Tarrant at all. It was Mr. Tarrant who was helping Mr. Starbuck to the boarding lounge.
It was what? Order! Order! Mr. Justice!
Is that gonna grab this?
You mean to tell me that the person on the right of this image is the victim, Clay Tarrant?
It's the only way the riddle of the increasing oxygen tank can be solved, Your Honor. At this point in time, the remaining oxygen in the victim's tank was at 50%. And when the victim was found in the boarding lounge, his tank was at 0%. That's right, there's nothing contradictory about the oxygen level decreasing. This means Mr. Tarrant was alive as they made their escape to the lounge. Silence. How short your memory is. Have you forgotten what you yourself proposed? Even if the victim was alive at this point in time. How did you descend the ladder with his arms full? Objection! Prosecutor Blackwell, you can't hurt me with a broken blade. Excuse me. It's true that we don't know how they got down the ladder. I suppose that matter needs further investigating. But we have a problem that we've proven that Mr. Tarrant was alive when he reached the boarding lounge. This fact alone shatters her claims, and opens up the possibility the victim could have been killed by a third party. Wait. Sorry, what was the point? I just kind of spaced. Oh yeah, true. There were two people who claimed to be the first on the scene. But can we truly trust their statements? Let's see, the two people were Detective Candace Arm and Yuri Cosmos, right? You think that one of them might have given a false statement to the police? Yes, it's certainly possible. We might have to do a little more digging.
It seemed after hearing the testimony of these first two people on the scene.
Oh, so I thought it was gonna be like they both saw first on the scene at the same exact time. But in this case, just that they both happened to, claim that they were the first to see it. Got it. Score.
Come to think of it, Detective Arm should be here in court right now. Bailiff, could you please show Detective Arm to stand?
What the? Hold it. Hold it. I have an announcement, everyone.
What's the meaning of this? What do you mean by trial here?
Oh no, so this is how it ends here. Please remain calm and listen carefully. Someone has reactivated the bomb. The bomb was defused, but it's about to explode.
Oh!
A bomb? Now? Everybody run. I don't want to die. Oh no, everybody's panicking. Well, yeah, that would tend to happen.
Silence. Headless chickens with a death wish, the lot of you. Calm yourselves before all else.
Come on, Paul, let's get out of here. What about Mr. Starbuck's dream? And who will carry out Clay's final wish? I don't care what happens to me. I'm not letting some bomb blow the truth up forever. I refuse to let things end here. Paul, this is no time to be dramatic. If we don't get out of here now, we're gonna die. Come on, this way. Hey, out! Let me go. So we got carried. Like, Apollo. Oh, and this is when Juniper? She hasn't evacuated yet? Juniper, are you alright? Apollo, no, not that way. Or, Apollo, no, not that way. What a strange conclusion. Perfectly timed too, because I don't think I had the energy to continue much further. To be continued. Wait. Save. But this should be the end of the episode, right? Or no, maybe not. In the middle of the Space Center bombing trial, we had another bombing incident. This one destroyed courtroom number 4. Furthermore, Apollo suffered massive injuries from being there when the bomb went off. The cosmic turnabout. Investigation day 1? I don't remember there being an investigation, so maybe I'm wrong. Furthermore, Apollo suffered massive injuries from being there when the bomb went off. Unfortunately, Juniper Woods was fingered as the courtroom bomber. Yeah, and that's when Athena was the defense, and then we jumped in. Athena and I knew she had to be innocent, so we took her case on. We managed to clear Miss Woods' name. But Apollo sustained further injuries when he was attacked by Ted Tonate. Tonate. I don't know how to pronounce it. But maybe Tonate because of the fact it's like detonate. Oh, there is an investigation day? Okay, so let's just call it here because I don't think I have the energy to keep going. Yeah, December 19th, 3:21 p.m. Wright, anything agency. Save state. Here. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming to watch the stream. I appreciate you all, and I'll be back sometime in the future. Not anytime soon for Dual Destinies anyway, but yeah, we'll see what's going on. All right, goodbye everyone. Have a great day, night, or day or whatever. See you guys.